Leanne, the Vitamix Blender lady, and I'm doing a quick review of the Hushpad made by Blend It Up. And before I get started on talking about that, I wanted to talk briefly about the different models and the sound levels. This is a next generation model. Look at the design compared to this, which is a standard motor base with a next generation container. And this, which is a standard motor base with a standard container. So this is a standard model. This is a next generation model, and this is a hybrid that was created for Costco. It has a next generation container on a standard motor base. So this one happens to be a 6500 with the program settings, but they have a 5300 there, which is just the same as this, but it has no program settings. So before I get into the sound, I'm going to do a little talk about the height, and I'm going to take these containers off. And I'm going to replace this container with the 32-ounce container, which is my favorite container by far. And to talk a little bit about the height. This, with the Hushpad on, is slightly higher. So if you're having troubles already getting your standard model with a 32-ounce container under your cabinet, you probably will have a hard time. Now, I always have a hard time. Never can do it with the lid on. So what some people do to get the lid on is do that, and it'll fit underneath your cabinets that way. But here's how I've always done it, because if you do what I just did and accidentally leave that in there, you will one day accidentally blend up that lid. It's clear plastic, and trust me, enough people have done it. Here's how I always store my 32-ounce container. It gives a lot more clearance. And it's just keeps the lid from falling in the container, and it's just how I've always stored it. So let's go back. I'm going to take these containers off and just go back a little bit to showing the height. This is, with the Hushpad on, the standard is now the same height as the next generation. Which actually, yeah, they come in at about the same height. And I wanted to, sorry about that. Now I want to show you a little bit about the airflow. Okay, with the Hushpad on, this is a standard without the Hushpad. This is standard with the Hushpad, and come up from like above so they can see this from the sides. Notice this cap right here. On the next generation, it helps dampen sound just a little bit. The air comes up under there, which is right here. The next generation still has an air vent here, but it's covered up like that. So that's what this Hushpad does. It covers up that air vent a little bit, but here you've got a cutout, and the airflow still comes right up in there. And this just redirects the air out the back. It comes out here. The airflow comes out through here. So the air comes out all over the bottom, but it's just dispersed in a way that makes it a little bit quieter. Now I want to go quickly to the sound, which is what everybody wants to hear, the sound test. First I'm going to do just a sound test without the Hushpad on all three containers. Now this has a suspended motor, which is advertised to be 40% quieter. This is a little bit quieter than this, and not quite as quiet as that. I don't have a decimal reader, and if I get one, I wish I had one, I really do. I may do another video. But I'm just going to briefly let you hear the sound of all three. Before I do it, this has a higher pitch. This is a little bit lower pitch, and this is a little bit lower pitch. This is a little bit louder. They're both lower pitch, but this is a little bit louder, but only slightly. And this is the quietest. It's all. One thing I always say, don't make a buying decision based just on the sound level, because you're never going to have a phone conversation in the kitchen with a Vitamix running. So the differences are very subtle. So let's go just briefly to hear the sound. That was a standard. lower pitch. That has a lower pitch, a more pleasant pitch. And that has about the same pitch. So now we're gonna, what people really want to hear is how the sound changes when you put it on the Hushpad. So I'm going to try to put it on and take it off a couple of times with the machine running. So here's the sound. So it makes it just a little bit quieter. Try to do it on the 6500. Turn it on. Makes it a little bit quieter. You hear that right at the end when I push it down, it gets a little bit quieter, like you can hear my voice now. A little bit harder to hear my voice, you can still hear it. And now that's quieter. And one last thing I wanted to mention is about how you fit it on. See this hole cut out here and this little bump up front? I wanted to tell you, when I first got the Hushpad, I looked at it and I saw this and I thought that was for the plug in the back. And so I tried everything to get this machine on here, and I tried pushing the plug through here and I was really frustrated. So please don't be, my silliness or my, my not knowing how to do it save you the time, and just make sure that you turn this around where this is up front. This is where the cord's going to go, and it just fits right in there. And that should do it. And I'm going to go one more time over to the standard where there's the most dramatic difference, and then I'll be done. Quite a difference. You can hear my voice now.